Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
I'm Steve Laughlin. I'm out of Houston, Brick Club, and my mock this year is kind of a mashup between Fabuland and Pirates. So Stuart Lamb out of the UK or Europe, he does a lot of stuff with Star Wars, and I was like, you know what? He does Star Wars. I'm going to do Pirates. So I'm a huge Pirates fan from back in the day, and so I wanted to put it together, and so that's when it started, right? Just that thought process. So it's been about a year of fretting and worrying about things and how's it going to look and come together, but really started collecting other parts and things from the massive Fabuland build I had a couple years ago, and so sniped a bunch of parts off of it and started putting together other things, and that's how this build came together. Really a lot of fretting and worrying and 2 hard weeks of building, and it's all together now.
So for people who aren't familiar with Fabuland, maybe give a quick overview of what that theme is, because for a lot of people, this is just kind of bizarre, what we're looking at.
Yeah, sure. No, so Fabuland ran from 1979 until 1988-89, heavily distributed in Europe, very little in the States or in North America. And it was kind of a transition from system to Duplo at the time. Of course, I could be lying about all that, but I'm fairly sure that that's fairly accurate, guys. But yes, it was kind of a fun little transition period. Speaking with some of the designers of Animal Crossing in Billund, they said that Animal Crossing was influenced by Fabuland, right? So the IP partners with Animal Crossing said Fabuland, the animal heads and figures, influenced the whole thing. The most fun thing about Fabuland, again, it's kind of story driven. The original sets the instructions were built as stories with the characters either building a house, having some spats with each other, and then coming together at the end as good buddies or partners or whatever. So it was really a storytelling kind of that theme that LEGO has of kind of family, friends, build together, play together, and that was kind of the epitome of how this theme kind of transitioned through that period of time. It's really, folks who haven't had a chance to play with it or mess with it, it's really an interesting build process if you get a chance to. Right?
So really you're carrying on the tradition, it's just these Fabuland characters have decided to team together to plunder their enemies.
Yes, to plunder their enemies, right, exactly. So you have friendly Fabuland guys, and you have the pillagers and all that good stuff. So yeah, the adventurous types of Fabuland have taken to the seas and are out doing their thing, if you will.
So let's dive on into the build then. If you want to kind of start with the whole of the ship, it looks like there's kind of multiple decks with details. So what was the design process like
here?
Sure,
yeah. So I knew when I put the thing together, I wanted to have 4 masts, so big masts. I was going to do fabric cells at the start, and I said, hey, let's go brick built cells. So there's brick built cells on there, which are super heavy, by the way. If you're ever thinking about doing it, just plan your structure. And I said, hey, if it's going to be that big of a ship, you kind of need to be ship of the line, kind of 16 cannons. So that's how it evolved. And I said, okay, I want as many Fabuland pieces and parts in there as I can get. So I said, okay, the windows from Fabuland, the door panels from Fabuland, some of the grill pieces from Fabuland. So I tried to incorporate as much Fabuland elements as I could. All the railings on there are Fabuland railings or fence pieces. And then I have some of the roof panels on the back of the ship. I always kind of forget they're on there because they kind of disappear into the build, but the roof panels on the back of the ship. And then kind of the second thing I decided after going with brick-built cells was like I was going to incorporate the Fabuland tree as the rudder on the ship. And it actually works. You can actually spin the captain's wheel and it will turn the rudder. So that was another thing I wanted to have happen. So it was just really a mishmash of ideas that I had around the theme and what I wanted to incorporate. And I knew on the blue elements on the captain's bridge, I wanted to have the big kind of what do they call it, the big window pane elements that they had for the large windows in Fabuland. I wanted those as kind of the side view so you could really see in there and catch the captain's table and his maps and all that good stuff. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No, and the amount of color also really makes it stand out.
Yeah.
So was that difficult to find some of these pieces in those kind of colors that you wanted?
It was. So it was really all about, I was going to use 100% of the original system colors. Fabuland ran with the original system colors throughout its theme run. And of course, everything predating that was red, blue, green, yellow. I mean, that's the colors, right? So that was early on decision. I didn't have to dig too deep. Again, I had acquired Fabuland elements for years, so I had a lot of that stuff. I did have to go out to the European market and buy a ton of those fence elements and the yellows and the reds. They have some browns that they had in play, but I wanted the core thematic colors of LEGO in this build only, nothing else to really mix it up. I'm actually kind of irritated I have some black rigging on there because I didn't want black, I wanted colorful rigging, but it is what it is, right? But yeah, that was really the idea of it, was to stay with the core elements of LEGO from the core colors.
Is the rigging an actual like essential structural element to this to keep those up?
Yeah, so when I was putting this together at the house, I built the hole and everything first, yeah? And then I was like, okay, I knew what I wanted to do for the mast, and the mast came together okay for the first third. After that, if you looked at it, it exploded, right? So then I put on some base rigging, so the bottom third of the rigging you'll see in the video, that kind of anchored the bottom, and then it got really wobbly up top, yeah? So I really had to add a ton of things, and we started putting cells on, then things started leaning left and right, and it fell over 3 times at the house before I finally got it anchored enough and got dialed in on how it was going to play. But I had to put in secondary sets of rigging on the bottom that kind of swoop back to the back of the ship just to anchor it down, and I solved the problem, but it's delicate, to say the least.
What was the process bringing it to the show here at Brick Rodeo?
It actually comes together pretty quick. So you break down each of the masts, break down the sails, they go in a little bag. The ship breaks into 3 pieces, the front, the aft, and then the center. And I just put it in a box and rolled with it. It shipped pretty well. We're going to see how well it travels. I'm going to go to Brick Fair, Virginia here in a few weeks. I'm going to try to take it on a carry-on. So we'll find out how that does. But it actually breaks down pretty quick, and it's in a fairly compact box, considering I had like 25 boxes for my big Fabuland build from, again, a year or 2 ago. So this is a much compact transportation situation for me.
Is this the start of more Fabuland pirates and an expanded universe here?
It is. So I'm gonna bring in Animal Crossing as a smaller pirate ship. They're gonna have their own little pirate ship, and we'll have a little fun between the two factions of Fabuland and Animal Crossing. So that'll be the next phase, right? And then I got a few things down the line, a sports stadium or something. We'll do some fun stuff, but Fabuland is just it makes you smile when you look at it. It's a lot of fun to build, and for me, it makes me happy, right?
Yeah. I also like the fun way you've displayed the water here and the different kind of colors and even lots of different sharks in there.
Yeah, so the sharks are kind of funny. We showed up at the show, and I wanted one shark, so I asked one of my buddies with the lug. I said, "Hey, you got a shark?" He said, "Yeah, I got one in the car. I'll come get it." And he put it down. I was like, "All right." And then through the day on the weekend, other sharks started showing up out of nowhere from other people. I'm like, all right, I guess I got sharks coming on this build now. So yeah, so the sharks weren't originally in the plan. I just wanted to put one because we got the pirate from the classic Pirates theme walking the plank. And I said, hey, we have to have some sharks down there in case he goes in the water. But it's kind of funny how, the members of the lugs in this LEGO community, how they like to participate in the builds, right? So it's a lot of fun. And the water, I didn't want to have it sitting on a static desk just kind of by itself. So I like the organic nature of using the small 1x1s to make water look more organic. You can do brick built water. It takes a long time, all that good stuff. Folks who've put together the mosaics know what it's like to put down 1x1 pieces in a row over and over and over. So I just like pouring it out on the table, kind of give it the color of looks like ocean, and try to give a little life to the build without having to do too much work on my side, if you will, other than have to sort it all out when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
That's the hard bit.
No, this is a super fun build. I also just love the contrast of this build next to Jim Butte's two very accurate gray ships over here.
Beautiful gray ships, right? So you go from the current kind of modern military classic gray to wheels off, high speed color, craziness, a cacophony of colors on the pirate ship, right?
So great work. Thank you so much for taking us to the build.
Right on. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all coming out and looking at it.